Hey, welcome back to our podcast, your go-to source for all things real estate and lifestyle in the heart of Fort Worth, Texas. I'm Jackson Christian Berry.
And I'm Jean Kristen Berry.
And together, we're here to guide you through the vibrant world of Fort Worth and surrounding suburb living.
We believe in creating a community where everyone feels at home. And that's why we're committed to bringing you honest, expert advice in a fun and friendly way. From the bustling streets of downtown to the serene suburbs, we've got the scoop on what makes each area unique.
Each week, we'll dive into the latest market trends, offer tips for both buyers and sellers, and share insider knowledge to help you make informed decisions. So whether you're a first-time home buyer, a seasoned investor, or just curious about some of the Fort Worth charming neighborhoods, you're in the right place. Let's jump into today's episode.
Welcome back. You are listening today with us on our podcast, and our podcast is called Welcome Home Fort Worth. So today we've got a wonderful.
I love it when you do this so much because it's almost like, what are we doing?
What are we doing here?
Who are you? Let's just keep going because this is the best intro we've ever done. I love it. Let's just keep it going. This is great. This is brilliant content.
Is this good content?
This is awesome.
Okay, we're giving you the content today. So with us today is a wonderful speaker to talk about solar. So we get a lot of questions all the time about solar panels. Should I put them on my house? Should I not? What do they do? Yeah. So we're really excited here to have Leesa Mansen with us. And she's going to talk to us today a little bit about all that and enlighten all of us. So Leesa, tell us a little bit about you and what it is you like to do and just how you got into solar.
All right. Well, first and foremost, I'm a Texan.
Nice.
Yeah.
My family goes back to this area probably 200 years.
You're kidding.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
This area.
My great-grandparents. Well, actually more of the West Texas area, kind of Lubbock, Brown Field.
Okay.
You ever heard of that?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so there's still a family farm out there.
Whoa, wow. Cool.
But when I was younger, traveled around quite a bit, but our roots are here in Texas.
Nice.
I've been in the Arlington area for 40 years.
Nice, very cool.
I know. And then, a homeowner for 37 years.
Yeah, awesome.
So we have two children. They're both grown. We are the empty nesters.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
So
nice.
We've got two four-legged friends that we love at home.
Named what?
Standard poodles. We have Cayenne.
Cayenne, I love that.
She's red, the color of cayenne pepper.
Yep.
Very fun, very fun.
And then we have Sadie.
Sadie, classic.
Sadie, Diamond Lil.
Oh my gosh, yes.
She has three names.
Yes, Sadie, Diamond Lil. And she's a hoot. She's 14.
Wow.
And we're just loving her.
Yeah.
She's white and she's been a little princess. So Cayenne's 2.5.
Oh my gosh.
So we've got a baby in the house and we
Fun.
have a senior in the house.
Is Cayenne spunky as you would expect from that name?
Is,
Okay.
She is.
Spicy.
Yeah, spicy, exactly. Yeah.
Well, exactly. That's why we call it named her Cayenne.
Yeah.
Cayenne pepper.
Yep.
Yeah.
My little spice girl. Is
Love
what
it.
I call her. So,
That's so fun.
but she's a joy.
Good.
We love her. And we love to travel, take road trips.
Yeah.
Long rides up to Lake Arkansas,
Oh, fun.
to Lake Ouachita.
Yeah, very cool.
That's a beautiful day.
Broken Bow.
Nice, all the spots. My wife and I just got a retreat a package or whatever we won to go to Broken Bow for the first time. So we've heard just fantastic things about it. So we're super excited to do
You're
it.
going to love it.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Yeah.
We've been going up there since before it was even that well known.
Yeah.
And now it has just exploded.
Yeah, for real. That's what I hear.
Right. Yeah. They're building
People
a big casino up
yeah.
there. They
Oh,
got
really?
Yep.
Wow, it's blown up then.
Big
Wow.
casino, lots of great bed and breakfast.
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
Restaurants.
Very fun.
Breweries,
Yeah.
wineries.
There you go. Fun.
Wow, it
Very
has
fun.
grown.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's kind of what we like to do.
It's good.
Cool. Cool. How'd you get into solar?
Oh, yeah. Good question.
Oh, my
Since that's
goodness.
why you're here.
No, that's why. No, solar. Well, honestly, like 6.5 years ago, I knew absolutely nothing about solar energy.
Yeah, sure. Which I think a lot of people are in that boat
we don't
today.
know.
I mean, even real estate agents, we are around solar, but we don't know the ins and outs. We're excited to hear about it today. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, that's why I'm so glad to be here because I had I've learned so much in the last 6.5 years. My background came over 30 years in corporate training and development.
Cool.
And so I worked with corporations, large corporations, and implemented fleet safety and training programs to educational programs. And about 10 years ago, I transitioned into import exports.
Okay.
So I was doing a lot of international travel, manufacturers representative for American manufacturers of gourmet food, beverages, and health and beauty products.
Okay.
So how did I get into solar? Well, I had this experience. I had a trip, and I was going from Dallas-Fort Worth to Melbourne, Australia, and then from Melbourne, Australia, over to Shanghai, China.
Wow.
And when I got to the airport, I was looking at my itinerary, And one of the monitors from DFW into Shanghai at that time was black. And that was, concerning because 5 days from now I was supposed to be in Shanghai. Mm-hmm. And I asked one of the flight attendants why that was. And she said, well, the air pollution is so bad in Shanghai that we cannot land the planes.
What?
Oh, gosh.
Yes. And so I was concerned about that, right? But I went to Melbourne. It was absolutely beautiful.
Sure.
Clear skies, blue skies.
Yeah.
And I noticed when we flew in, solar panels everywhere.
Interesting.
Oh, I didn't know they did that in Australia.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow.
And so then fast forward, about 5-6 days later, it went from black to orange. I go to Shanghai, and this was before COVID.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The entire population was wearing masks.
Sure. Yeah, I've seen pictures. Yeah.
And it was because the quality of the air was so bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so then go forward a few years after that, I needed an opportunity. Right, I'd been in corporate America. I'd been traveling. I'd been away from my family, away from home. Mm-hmm. I really didn't want to start over.
Yeah.
Somewhere else.
Yeah.
And someone asked me. She was a friend of mine. She lived up in Kansas City, and she said, "Leesa, have you ever looked into the solar industry?" And Jean, I got to tell you, I had like goosebumps.
Cool.
I had goosebumps. It was like
It just all lined up.
That was the moment.
I was like,
cool.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's what I want to do.
Yeah. Cool.
I want to really learn about this industry because I see that it could really make a difference.
Yeah.
So I
in stark contrast kind of ways from that trip.
Yeah.
That's so interesting to hear the back to back like that. Wow.
Yeah, it was like, okay, this epiphany came through. And I'd been in third world countries before where people didn't have electricity.
Wow.
Trying to sell food.
Sure.
Where people didn't have places to actually cook it.
Yeah.
Or, store it.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of things that went on, and I learned a lot. I mean, I loved what I did, but it was just time to cash in the passport.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. So I interviewed with 5 traditional solar companies here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. They all 5 said, yeah, come on. We look
cool.
There
you go.
Okay. And there I go. And I picked one that I thought was the best. And they had a 2-week training program. And what was surprising to me was during that 2 weeks, they taught very little about solar energy.
Oh.
It was all about processes and procedures and these types of things, how to use their computer systems and how, these types of things.
Yeah.
Right.
And so there was a lot of learning on your own and tagging people, following people. The industry's not regulated.
Oh, is it not?
No.
Jeez.
Okay.
No, kind of like the roofing industry is not regulated.
Sure.
Okay.
Now, in some states, like I am licensed in California
So there's a
to
license.
sell solar, so I am licensed.
Yeah.
Maryland has a requirement. Illinois, you have to register with the state.
Texas does not?
No.
Wow.
Okay.
No. And so anybody can knock on your door and say, or put a sign up and say, I'm a solar energy company. Let's go put solar on
your
your
house.
Which brings us to, we discussed before about the scams that happen sometimes and people coming and trying to sell solar. So that makes sense. It's not regulated.
Yeah, and sometimes I wish it were.
Totally.
Yeah. Now I work with a lot of really good, reputable people. Or they wouldn't be in my circle, right?
Sure.
But that's important to me. Is really training and education, and there's good things about solar. There's bad things about solar. It's not for everybody. If a house doesn't qualify for solar, that homeowner needs to know.
Yeah.
Because it's a big investment.
Yeah, sure.
It's a big investment. It's a big decision to make.
So if a homeowner they're considering solar, what would you say what's the benefit of that, and what's the return on investment that a homeowner can look forward to?
Yeah.
I love that question. Everybody wants to know what's the return on investment, right? How do I get, what is the investment?
Yeah.
So think of it, if you're in the real estate industry, right? So you're working with homeowners.
Sure.
How many homeowners do you work with for the very first time? They've been renting a house, right?
Yeah.
And they've been renting this house forever, and now they can finally own something.
Yeah.
They have a choice. They can continue to rent, right? Pay somebody else's mortgage.
Totally.
Or they can get into a mortgage payment. That mortgage payment might be more expensive than what they're renting at, right? So why would they even consider that?
It's a long-term investment.
Ownership. They want that ownership. Solar's the same thing. And we've been conditioned since over 100 years.
Yeah.
I mean, the grid's over 120 years old.
Oh, is it? Oh, wow.
And people have been paying an electric company to have electricity delivered to our homes, right? And we're renting it time and time again, and nobody's been introduced to there's an alternative way
you can
to
buy
do
it,
this.
own it. That's interesting. Okay, sure.
Yeah, so
sure.
why?
So
when I got into solar and I did my math, and I've been in my house for 28 years at the time.
Okay, cool.
I'd spent $95,000
$1,000
buying electricity.
Wow.
Renting electricity.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because you've been a renter for 28 years.
I've been renting.
Years,
I've been making my house payment.
Yeah,
You
right.
know, and soon I'm going to own my home.
Wow.
I can do the same thing now that I have solar.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes, I have a solar payment, but once I pay that off, I own my system and I'm producing electricity for the next 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
And so that's it. So when somebody asks me what the ROI is, you know, it's kind of like, well, what's your ROI on your electric bill now? You know, you're
Which is
paying
nothing.
electricity. Yeah, when are you going to pay that off?
Yeah,
You know,
right.
if you go to TXU and say, I want to buy my electricity for the next 30 years,
Yeah.
how much should I write that check out for?
Yeah.
I don't know. So I brought some examples.
Cool.
So you know, not everybody has these great results, but when it comes to before and after, and that's what the assessments and the consultations are for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to know how much electricity that home consumes.
Cool.
You know, do you have children at home still?
Nope.
No, you do have children at home, right? Okay. So would you say, because you've got 2 children at home, that you're probably going to use a little bit more electricity?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit,
Just a
just
little
like for the next probably 15
Yeah,
years.
that
right?
sound
While they're
machine
at
runs
home.
all night long.
Yeah.
So just in that alone.
And all the laundry.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
All the laundry.
So one thing, when we look at a utility bill, we're buying electricity. So you've heard of Encore.
Sure.
Right.
So let's talk about the grid for a minute. Here in the United States, there's 3 grids. There's the Eastern grid, the Western grid, and here in Texas, our country of Texas, we have what's called ERCOT, right? We've got, Okay, so this is our own grid. And here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, when you go out and you look at your meter, it says Encore.
Right.
Encore is responsible for the poles and the wires. Okay?
Okay.
Then you shop for electricity.
Okay.
You'll do something like a TXU or a Reliant or a
Reliant,
Pulse or a Chariot or, you know, there's probably 15 that you can choose from.
Yeah.
Just like if you needed to go and buy a gallon of gas.
Sure.
You know, you go to Shell, you go to Exxon, you go to Walmart,
Anywhere.
you go to Costco, whatever, right?
Right.
So it's the same gas, pretty much,
Yeah.
same electricity. You're looking for the rate. But on that, there's a cost to delivering that electricity. So they're charging you like a retail rate, they're charging you a delivery rate, and then they're charging you these different fees.
Sure.
And so this is a homeowner that I put solar on his house. He was averaging about $450 a month
Wow.
on electricity.
For his electric
He had an older
bill.
home.
Okay.
It was kind of a log cabin
Sure.
style house, not energy efficient at all. This is his current utility bill. This is his most recent bill. Do you see that number?
396.
Yeah. Well, negative 396.
Negative?
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
a
so
negative?
He's making money, I would assume, in that scenario.
That's a negative $396. So right, he's got
Wow.
$396 banked up in his credits.
Interesting.
Okay.
That when these, and this is just from his February bill, right?
Okay.
January, February. So, and if you see these graphs, he's using the most, and we here in Texas, you know, we get 100, 110
Yeah.
degrees, right?
For real.
So we're using the most electricity when we need our air conditioners in the summertime,
Yeah,
in
of
June,
course.
July,
Of course.
August.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
he's going to be able to use those credits to
Oh, for the
pay
higher months.
down.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Offsets it.
They're
Cool.
rolling over.
Okay.
There's
Cool.
old rollover
Okay.
minutes.
So if
we
the
can do
panels
that.
don't make enough for that month, then this rollover will kick in.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, this is the great situation. Not everybody gets this situation.
Uh-huh.
You know, some homeowners, I can get them 60% solar, and then they're only paying 40% to the utility company, if
Okay.
that much.
Okay.
Right. So that it's still 60% ownership over owning nothing.
Yeah.
And is that based on the way that their house is receiving sunlight? Is that the deal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because you could have 2 identical homes side by side.
Uh-huh.
And just like in real estate, you have a homeowner that says, how much is that house?
Yeah.
And you're going to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see what
Yeah.
features are in that house.
Right.
Does it have crown molding? Does it have tile?
Right.
Is it granite? Or is it, you know, the standard builder
Yeah,
grade?
of course. Yes.
You know, and so each house is different, and so is it when we're assessing it for solar. How are they using that house?
Okay.
Is it a retired couple, empty nesters?
Yeah.
That my husband has a workshop.
Nice.
You know, we don't have any kiddos at home, but
Yeah,
we
yeah.
like to have them come
Yeah.
on vacation.
Yep.
We have a guest room upstairs
Yep.
that once in a while we'll have company come over, but other than that, it's just us. But, 15 years ago, our life was different.
Sure.
We had the neighborhood kids over, we had sleepovers, we had all kinds of things going
Yeah, of course.
Right.
on. Right? And then you have one home might have a swimming pool in the back, another one might have
Yeah.
a big workshop, and so their needs for electricity vary.
Okay.
Okay. And so we have to, as a professional, really consult with that homeowner to see how we're using your home. so that I can design the system accordingly.
Right. Yeah, it's going to affect what they need. Yeah.
What do they need? Right. Because we don't want to overproduce too much. Now, this particular homeowner here, we know in the summertime, he was used to getting $600, $700 bills.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to have by then probably $600 or $700 built up in his credits.
Yeah.
And our goal with him, because he had the right roof, was to get him to where he had zero to little no utility bill moving forward.
Cool. Okay.
Okay.
So you're really trying to basically zero it out as much as possible.
As much as possible.
You don't want to overproduce. You don't want to underproduce, and they have to pay money. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Because if you overproduce, it sounds like you don't get access to like the TXU or whoever the company is not going to pay you back what you overproduce.
I love that question.
Right?
Thank you for bringing that up. So what's really important, and this is, I hear people say, well, solar doesn't work, or I've got 2 big bills, and I'll see things posted on Nextdoor
Sure.
and Facebook,
Yeah.
and I'll reach out and I'll say, which utility company did they transition you over to?
Okay.
And oftentimes what happens is the homeowner is still paying the bill from their original plan. And they got their solar installed and they weren't switched over to renewable energy.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Oh.
So they're not getting credit for their solar.
Okay.
And now it looks bad on the industry.
Well, sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
right.
Yeah.
And now it looks bad.
Because you are paying 2 bills at that point. Yeah.
You are, absolutely.
Okay.
But it's because they weren't advised to do it correctly.
Oh,
And
I
that
see.
has to do with sometimes that lack of training.
How easy is it to switch those plans?
Instantly.
You can do like that. Okay.
Instantly.
So there's no anything involved in that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and sometimes
It's just
if
knowing that
somebody's
you need to do it.
Yeah, you need to do it, and an advisor
Yeah.
should direct that homeowner and do the shopping for them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
To say this is because they change, those plans change.
Sure.
And I do that as a service for my homeowners. When
Nice.
they're ready to go solar,
Okay.
we get them on the right plan so that they're maximizing their solar and minimizing their liability to
Sure.
a
Interesting.
utility company.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's one thing when somebody says it's not working, and that may be it. Sometimes it's the system isn't designed. Let me show you something here. When we're talking about grids, right?
grids. Yeah.
Here's Texas.
Well, I think this is really. I love that you use the word grid because this is kind of a hot button thing in Texas.
Yeah, it really is.
Post freeze,
Yeah.
and post. Everybody freaking out about that. So this is really interesting to hear about these grids. Yeah.
Yeah, when we get into the history of the grid, and I've done a lot of studying on this. It's just, 7 years ago, my family thought I was nuts talking about electricity like this.
Sure.
What?
Yeah, sure.
Wait,
Yeah.
Mom? Who? But now I dive into. I listen to the podcasts. I read books.
Yes, good. Yeah.
And
What podcast would you recommend for people to listen if they want to know more?
There's one on solar. There is a solar energy podcast.
Okay.
So you can, if you go on like Spotify or something,
just
type
search
it
for
in, you can
search
find
solar.
that.
Okay.
There's a great book that I'm listening to called The Grid.
Okay.
And that's on Audible.
Cool.
So I'll listen
Okay.
to that sometimes if I'm working out,
Yeah.
doing things like that.
That's great.
So, because it gets into the history about how did we get here.
Yeah.
And especially with Texas being our own grid, and we're not connected to the rest of the
Yeah.
country.
Right.
We're just, we are Texas.
Yeah.
And we love it. We love our
We are
independence
Texas.
too.
Yeah, for sure.
We love our independence and we love our oil.
Right.
Yep.
And so then there's that, I don't want to get into politics, but there's oil and there's a place for oil.
Right.
There's a place for renewables.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when we look at our natural resources, maybe there's a better way that we can be looking at using them.
Sure.
So when I'm talking about a deregulated area, that gives us the freedom to shop.
Okay.
That's where you can go to the TXU, the Reliant, basically the grocery store for electricity.
Okay.
When we're in a regulated area, now we're talking about co-ops. Now,
Okay.
co-op is you're fixed and you're locked.
Yeah.
Like CoServe, if you
Yes, of course.
Yes,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
CoServe, you've got Tri-County, you've got TVEC.
Yes.
There's 80
Yeah.
co-ops.
I've had tried kind of before. Yeah.
80 different co-ops in the state of Texas.
Oh, just
80.
in this state. Wow.
And if that solar consultant doesn't know how that co-op works with solar, that homeowner could be taken
Wow.
advantage of or not getting the maximum
Well, of
benefit
course.
from
Yeah,
it again.
of course.
Because some co-ops won't buy their electricity.
Interesting.
So the way that solar works.
So you're stuck. You
Yeah.
just bought solar panels,
But you didn't. You
But you
can't use
can't
it.
use them.
Yeah.
Well, you can use. So how solar works is this in a nutshell. So without solar, there's the grid, there's the meter, and you're just buying electricity
Right.
by a kilowatt hour. So just like you go to the gas station, they're charging you by the gallon. The grocery store, it's by the pint or by the pound. Solar energy is billed by the kilowatt hour. And so every time you turn on a light bulb, you open the refrigerator, it goes ka-ching, 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 and it's billing you for that usage. With solar, we put solar panels on the roof. There's an inverter, and the job of that inverter is just to convert the sun's electricity into what you need for your house.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right? So when the sun comes up, boom, those solar panels are providing electricity for that home, for that homeowner. I work from home. I run my house on solar energy.
Yeah,
It's
cool.
pretty cool.
Hey everyone, real quick before we get back to the show, if you're on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, we'd love to connect with you. We post a lot of content like this in case you miss an episode, along with more Fort Worth and surrounding suburb, local insights, and finds. You can find our team at the Christenberry Group on all social platforms, or you can connect with Jackson and I personally on our Facebook and our Instagram accounts. Just be prepared for lots of pictures of my grandson on either account. Now back to the show.
Now, any extra electricity that I don't use actually turns the meter backwards.
Okay.
For Encore. Now we're talking about regulated, the deregulated areas.
It's deregulated.
Yeah, not the co-ops.
So now you're depositing credits into your safety deposit box, say your bank account, right?
Right.
And then at night when the panels go to sleep, the sun goes down, now you can pull back. And now you're using, that's why we're able to get like this gentleman to where he's got zero to no utility bill, because at night he's using those credits, and then in the day he's overproducing, and all of those extras just going to roll over until he gets into those high usage months.
Yeah, sure.
When we're in a co-op, it's a different story, and they're each different.
Yeah.
So that's something that...
That's a hyper local thing that you as the advisor have to be aware of. Yeah.
So that's a big question you want to ask somebody who you're talking to about buying solar.
Right. I need to know what your utility bill is.
Yeah.
And that's going to tell me here at co-op is I was at a town hall meeting with Tri-County last month.
Yeah.
And I talked to Weiss County last week because I've got 2 homeowners in 2 different co-ops that want to go solar, and I want to make sure that they're getting the best system based on what that co-op is going to allow them.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Wow.
And they've changed, both of them. TVEC has changed. They changed in August of 2023.
Oh, wow.
And Weiss County changed their buyback policies.
Wow.
Okay. So that can change.
I mean, so you got to be on it. Yeah.
And once you get on it, you can grandfather in and get locked in. And then if they change it and that's a better plan, then you can move over to that new plan.
Or you can stay.
Wow.
Or you can stay.
Okay.
Right.
Interesting. So a solar rep needs to know these kinds of things.
Yes.
So these are the questions to ask the solar rep.
Yes.
To see if you're shopping with somebody that's reputable.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. They should be doing that homework for the homeowner.
Yeah, for sure.
The homeowner's not going to know.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know.
I wouldn't even know to Google that. Like, as much as we have access to Google and stuff like that, I would not even know to go onto Google and ask that question. Right. So that's really fascinating to hear about.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What about technology? So I hear a lot of times people talk about they bought a system several years ago, and now the technology has changed and they can't use their system like they were using it before. There's upgrades that happen, and now it's not all matching. Maybe the upgrades aren't interfacing like they used to. What do you hear about technology changing and all that?
Yeah, technology is so interesting. And I have had people say, well, I want to wait till technology changes. And it's like, if you waited until technology changed, would you ever have a cell phone?
Never.
Right. No. Why wait? Why wait? Because it's electricity.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about solar for the home, it's the solar panel, it's the inverter, and it's the racking system to get things mounted, and it's the electrical systems to get everything talking to each other, right?
Yep.
That's what we need. It's that simple.
Cool.
So I installed my solar panels 4 years ago. I've got 335 watt panels. Now we're up to 405 watt panels.
That's
bigger
the
panels.
latest. Okay.
Yeah, that's the latest, and they'll probably keep getting bigger. But for me, it doesn't matter because I've got my own electricity.
So it will never go out of style. It'll never get defunct. Okay.
No. And now solar. We've got these beautiful, I call them sleek black on black solar panels. They look really cool.
Nice.
5 years ago, they were kind of blue and white.
Sure.
Yeah. They were.
And they popped out.
Yeah, they did.
And but now, so they have gotten like sleek.
Good.
And as far as with the technology, I think what we're moving towards now are the whole smart homes. It's kind of that futuristic, the Jetsons, we are here.
Yeah, you walk in. Yep.
Sure.
Right. And so we're looking at home efficiencies. Using our homes smarter.
Yeah.
Where they actually have what's called a smart panel that we could install if somebody wants a battery.
Yeah, the battery. Talk about that because people want the batteries.
Okay. So another I think misconception out there, Jean, is that I have solar energy. Therefore, when the grid goes down,
I'm good.
I've got electricity. Right? My panels are producing away. Well, wrong. You know why? Because there's an automatic safety disconnect from the solar system to the grid. You can't be pulling back your electricity when people are out there working on it.
Sure, right.
Yeah.
Things happen.
Yeah.
Right. So if that's a concern, and I always ask my homeowners, what do you do when the grid goes down?
Yeah.
Is that a concern?
Yeah, is that a big deal?
What happens if? And if they say, gosh, we were out of power for 4 days, I never want to go through that again. I said, well, let's look at a battery system for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So how the battery works, now there's 3 ways for the battery.
Okay.
We can use a battery. One is if the grid goes down. People want that for backup emergencies. And so when I work with a homeowner, I can say, we've got a home essential battery, and we've got this is what you want, this would be nice, and then we've got the whole home backup. So that's another part of the consultation.
Right.
It's like when the grid goes down, what do you have to have?
So the home essential would have maybe your refrigerator. Just you determine the things that are most important when the grid's down, and that'll power that.
Yes.
Is that how that works?
So they set up a sub. So how they do it now is we'll set up a sub panel, and then you tell me what you need working,
and so it routes that to that.
And it routes it to
the
the refrigerator, the stove.
I was thinking that the homeowner would have to be conscious of like only powering those things, but it really is linked to those outlets that those things are plugged into. That's fascinating.
Right. Yeah. So that's
cool.
how we do it now. With the smart panel, this is kind of cool. We don't need that sub panel anymore.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So the homeowner, maybe they're on vacation in Cancun or something like that. They're watching their house from their app.
Sure.
And now they can tell what they have to have powered on and where they need that battery going.
Wow.
So if you had like a 150-gallon aquarium that you wanted not to...
I wanted on my little
your fish to die.
Right.
Or something like
say,
that.
feed my fish.
Yeah,
save my fish,
Keep it going. Keep it going.
Yes, yeah. So,
Goodness.
So that's kind of the smart, that's what's happening.
And with that, so my understanding, just from what you're saying, is that would then, so the smart router, you wouldn't need to specifically route to panels. The smart panel would just send it where it needed to go. Is that correct?
And the homeowner can pick and choose. Right. So the smart panel can learn your habits.
Yeah, cool.
That's kind of the cool thing. You're like, she likes
wild.
her coffee starting at 7:00 in the morning, and she likes,
cool?
let's start the car.
Oh my gosh.
That's like with Alexa, all working with the whole
the experience.
smart home. She likes, the temperature set at 74.
Right.
Wow.
And it's all already happening. The light comes on in the kitchen.
It's all done.
It recognizes your habits.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it starts doing things for you.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
that.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a little. It's cool. It's a very cool concept.
It's what's happening.
Yeah, it's here. Yeah, it is here.
Wow.
So how do people finance? That's
what I wanted to know.
How does that work?
For sure. Because honestly, for me, where that question comes from, we've had a lot of clients have issues selling their home when they have the loan on the solar panel. So this is really good for us to know.
Okay. Yeah. So there's 3 ways, to purchase a solar system. One is cash.
Sure. All out.
Okay.
Cash. Somebody has the cash and they just want to pay for their system. We can certainly do that.
Cool.
Cash is good. A traditional solar loan. These are very valuable because, taking out that big chunk of cash out of your savings or whatever may not be the best use of your money.
Sure.
If we can find you an interest rate at like 3 to 4 to 5%. Okay. So I've got I still have interest rates at about 3.49.
Do you right now?
4%.
Oh, okay.
What affects those? Because like for us, like interest rates are a huge thing right now, obviously. So what affects? Is it the same things affecting your interest rates or
yes.
what? Okay, cool.
Yeah, the same. Because 2 years ago I had 1.49. I had 0.99.
Goodness.
So we've
free
seen
money. Wow.
Okay. Yeah, we've seen free money. We've seen that go up, and so if somebody is wanting to finance, we typically look at somebody who's making a minimum of say $40,000, credit score of 650-ish, and we can get them into solar financing.
Okay.
And there's a tax credit.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, there is a federal tax credit for those who pay cash or who buy their system through a loan.
Interesting.
And it's from the federal government.
Wow.
So it's called an ITC.
Oh yes, I've seen a TikTok about this. Wow, interesting.
It's a tax credit, and so how this works is this, and I like to use round numbers. Say the solar system is say $30,000.
Cool.
30% of that is $9,000.
Okay.
Right, 9,000. So that's right. Math is not my forte. Right?
Good job.
So there's $9,000 of a tax credit for people who work and pay taxes. Now I'm not a CPA, and I always tell my homeowners, I'm not a CPA. That's a great question for your CPA, or if you do your taxes. This is the tax form. It's IRS form 5695. When you file, if we get your solar panels installed in 2024 by December 31st, then when they file their taxes in 2025, they can claim a 30% federal tax credit for that $9,000.
Okay.
Now, maybe they owe tax. Maybe they have to pay. That can reduce that liability.
Right. Of course.
And maybe they didn't pay all of $9,000 in. They can claim what they can and then carry that over.
Okay.
And that includes batteries. So if somebody needs a solar system and battery backups, that 30% applies to that as
And battery
well.
can be financed as well within everything.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's not different. Good.
Yes.
Okay.
And then there's the lease option.
Okay.
And so with the leasing option, the leasing can be very beneficial for a couple who maybe they're retired and they don't have a tax credit. They can't get that $9,000 back. So they can get a lower payment. We call it they can do a PPA, which is a power purchase agreement.
Okay.
So they don't ever own the system. Put the solar panels on the roof, and they're just buying the electricity that those panels produce at a lower rate than what they're paying with the utility company.
Okay.
And that would, if they were to sell that house.
That's what I was about to ask too.
Yes.
It's just about the same thing. Yeah. So how does that work?
Lease would go with the home
Yes. So people still have to qualify for
to transfer the lease.
The new owner does, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's because we run into that.
Yeah, we have had that.
I know.
Yeah.
And and it's I wish there was this perfect little wand
Yeah, of
wave
course,
that
of
says
course.
this all
Sure.
works beautifully for everybody.
Yeah.
There's still some things that make it difficult. I always ask my homeowners, how long are you going to be in the house?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. That's a great question.
Yeah, how long are you going to be in the house?
You got to know that.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
This happened Saturday. I kid you not, Saturday. I was talking to a homeowner. He was interested in solar. I said, how long are you going to be in the house? And he said, I'm selling the house. I said, why are we talking? Why are we talking?
Why are we doing this?
And he said, because the buyer, because what he does, he buys houses and he flips them. He lives there for 6
he
months.
already had a buyer.
And he already had a buyer.
Gotcha.
And that buyer wanted solar.
Gotcha.
But I'm like, why am I
Unique situation.
They better be in a
It was
contract.
a
My
very
gosh.
Very unique situation.
That
Wow.
was a unique situation. But the buyer who was buying the house already knew that they wanted solar.
Yeah. So it was an incentive at that
They
point.
wanted it. It's already set up and staged for that. But yes, for the most part, if somebody's not going to be in the house for more than 3 years, and we know life happens, sometimes emergencies happen. But if there's a new homeowner, they're coming in to buy a house that has solar, and that's where I want to be a resource, like for realtors or
Oh, absolutely.
older people, if they don't really understand.
You've been a resource for us before. We appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to do that, Jean. I want to, as you help more realtors understand, because you're going to be selling homes.
Yes.
With solar.
More and more and
Yes.
More and more. Big time.
Yeah, we really are.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we look at just the country as a whole, but let's just talk Texas.
Sure.
We are one of the fastest growing areas in the
I know
United
it's
States.
Yes,
staggering.
we are.
Yeah.
I know.
It's
can
statistics
tell.
are crazy that we keep popping up on. It's really it's wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to say 23 or 30% of people moving into Texas are coming from California.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You're saying that?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so they're very familiar with solar, but they're paying exorbitant rates for electricity.
That's almost a that's interesting. That's I guess you can call that a cultural thing.
Yeah.
Almost there would be an expectation of solar, and if it's not there, then it's at least going to need to come at some point. That's interesting.
Right. Because when you're in California, and I was just there, a couple of months ago, and I work with homeowners in California. They're paying 3 to 4 times what we are here in Texas.
Grief.
Wow.
We're at 14 cents.
What is it? Is it just the rate over there? Like
Oh
what?
my gosh! Yeah,
what is
it's
it?
the utilities.
Okay,
they have a monopoly.
So they're not buying different panels that are priced higher.
No.
Right. So those are apples to apples panels, apples to apples system.
Exactly.
But it's just
the
rate.
utility.
Wow.
It's PG&E. It's SDG&E.
Wow.
They are charging exorbitant rates for electricity.
Wow.
We're seeing 30 to 50 cents a kilowatt. I have a homeowner in a 1,400 square foot house. She's elderly. She's paying $900 a month
Oh my gosh.
for electricity on a fixed income
Yeah, that's rough.
in Northern California.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So
So
solar's very helpful in California for those reasons, of course.
yes.
Yeah.
I would assume geographically as well, it probably is in California too. I don't know. It's Sunshine State.
It's
It's
Sunshine.
Sunshine State.
Yeah,
It's a sunshine state.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful state. It's a progressive state, but we could have a whole podcast about what's going on in California.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, we're in Texas. You're right.
Well, and here
I know.
Well, here, like what you said,
it is.
the grid is the concern here.
Yeah, big time.
Because the grid went, going down and all that. That's the biggest concern here, I think.
Yep.
Yes, and it's the weather. It's the age of the grid.
Yeah.
I mean, they say if Tom and Edison looked at a power plant today, it would be exactly the same as it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
100
Oh,
years
that
ago.
is-
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it is old. It's expensive.
Yeah.
To keep up with, people are seeing on their utility bills now extra surcharges to pay for
Oh,
the
absolutely.
damages that occurred
Jeez.
because of Snowmageddon.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. Good. I can remember
this
the name. That's right.
Yeah.
Snowmageddon.
Yep.
Snowmageddon.
Yeah.
Never again.
Yes, and it's going to continue. Yeah.
So, Leesa, this is very helpful. I mean, this is information we never knew anything about.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
a lot
yeah.
of this is very
and what we've encountered is very
Yes.
it's a problem usually.
It's on the back end.
And it's on the back end. They didn't know about how it would transfer. It causes them issues. And so this is really helpful for us on the front end.
Absolutely.
If we're talking to folks who are thinking about solar, obviously we'll keep you in mind, of course, and send them your way. But we can advise them on the front end quickly, just to say, okay, we got to talk about the 3 types of: are we going to do a mortgage with it? Are we going to do a mortgage? Are we going to do a financing? Are we leasing it? Or are we just buying it cash out?
Yeah. When you plan on selling?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing we encounter with it.
And our first-time home buyers. I mean, just this basic solar info about if you're considering solar, give us a call.
Yep.
And we can connect them with you because you're reputable and you're going to take care of them.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'd like to know is like maybe top 4 or 5 points of what would be the things that you'd say to people if they're interviewing an installation company. What are like the bullet points? Like make sure that they do this, and this. What would you say?
I would say make sure they've been in business for a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make sure, who is doing the installation. Where are they sourcing their panels from?
Okay.
We've got panels made here in the USA, where, what kind of training, when we're looking at the whole system, there's a lot of solar companies that have just gone out of business.
Yes.
Sure.
And, yes. And when you're working with someone, you make sure that they're rock solid, and that they know what they're talking about. The company has financial solid backing with warranties.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because so here's the story. Last summer, I met with a homeowner in Grand Prairie, husband and wife. They loved the solar, going to save them a lot of money. We signed the contracts. They got qualified for a loan. And about 3 weeks later, they canceled. And they didn't call. And I called because I'm like, well, tell me what happened. I can help you. At least explain to me what did I, let me help you here.
Yeah.
And they never returned my call. They kind of ghosted, right?
Sure.
4 months later, I got this call and she's crying. She said, Leesa, she said, oh my God. She said, somebody knocked on my door a week after we signed, and they told me that I could do it cheaper. They put the panels up and they're out of business. They're answering the phone and the panels don't work.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Because they thought they were going to save $5,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what happened, there's we call them permit poachers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a name. Interesting. Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Yeah.
No,
But somebody actually, their permits are they're public information.
Yeah.
Right? So they'll go and they'll say, oh, somebody just pulled a solar permit. Let me go see if I can't steal that contract.
Oh, okay.
So I would say, get a couple of bids, talk to at least 3 people.
Okay.
Sure.
If it's underpriced, I would walk away from it because you want to make sure that company's going to be around, right?
Yep.
People have to get paid.
Yeah.
Suppliers have to be paid.
Yeah.
There's a cost to doing business,
Yeah.
right? There's cost to everything involved with that. So, work with, get 3 different bids.
Yeah.
And see what questions they're going to ask you when they're doing, first they should always be asking for your 12 months of history and usage.
I mean, I feel like if anybody's watched this, for people who have watched this today, like the questions that you've already provided us to make sure that they are asking is like dire. They need to know that because a lot of people, I lived in a neighborhood on the north side of like kind of the Fort Worth. It's almost like the Fort Worth Roanoke kind of line way up there. And I mean, it was a neighborhood that had solar people knocking every single, like 4 times a day. And it was somebody new every time. And so I would not have known to ask them questions like this. And I don't think they were the kind of folks, just from my impressions, that would have asked me questions like this that are crucial to knowing my system.
They would have given you the right system.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's going to start usually late spring, early summer, all summer long. And what happens is they bring these young college kids, high school grads, down from Idaho, from Salt Lake City, Utah, and they put them up in hotels for 2 or 3 months.
How interesting.
And they knock doors, and they'll bring 27, 25, 30 of them, because I talk to them all.
Sure.
And they'll go through these, and they just canvas, and all they're doing is setting appointments and selling solar, and then they get back on their airplane. They pay for their college that way. And they get back on their airplane, they go home.
Wow.
Okay.
I bought pest control from a company who did that. And I was like, well, it's pest control. It can't hurt me, right? I'm just going to go and help this kid go to college. But when you're talking about a lifetime investment,
oh yeah.
Yeah, make sure, because you got to understand the local rules, the local regulations. And I sell solar all over the country. I can do that because I get the licenses and I understand what the different utilities are. So it's not that you necessarily have to, work with somebody here, but your installer, the people who are actually doing,
on the ground.
They need to understand all the permitting requirements because they change. City code changes.
Yeah.
And So that's really important you know, to really understand.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
You know,
that's good.
And then understand what the storage options are too. I think more and more people need to understand the benefits of storage. And yes, it is a cost to that, but it gets into that priceless mode. Of what happens if the grid hadn't come back up in 4 or 5 days?
Exactly.
You
know, we could have been down for a long time.
Yeah, you've got that protection. Yeah, that's good.
And there are a lot of, I think everybody has a memory associated with that.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Everybody. It was like camping out for a week.
It was crazy.
Yeah, it was tough on a lot of people.
And it was, to your point, it was like, if this went on another week, I don't know that it would have been a lot. It would have been a lot different experience for everybody.
A lot of people within a few days. Within a few days, there was we were running out of food.
Right.
People couldn't get out of their houses.
Exactly.
They were running out of gas, propane.
Yeah, they get a little desperate.
Yep.
Yeah, there was a little desperation setting in. Well, Leesa, this is good information.
Yeah, we cannot thank you enough for this.
Thank you, because you've really kind of pulled back the curtain a little bit on solar. I think a lot of people don't really know all this, and it's going to help a lot of people for their shopping and for how they're going to do
how
that.
they approach it, even just the process of doing it.
The decision of it,
I hope so, because it's a choice. They have to make that decision. And I think as long as they have the right information to make the best decision for themselves and their family, it can be a fantastic decision.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Tell everybody how to get in touch with you.
Sure. Okay, I'm Leesa, and I spell it, thank you, Mom, Leesa. Leesa.
Thank you, Mom.
Thanks, Mom, Leesa. At solarsunshine.earth.
Okay, cool.
And that's my website as well, so www.solarsunshine.earth. You can find my website.
Okay.
You can book an appointment with me or just call me. Happy to talk to anyone about your utilities, about your bill, about your roof line, to see if solar is a good fit or not. And if it's not, I'll let you know.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, you would. Cool. Well, and we've also got some great handouts that Leesa brought today. So if you're interested in those, all you have to do is DM us and let us know about that. Get in touch with us for that. And anything else you can think of?
I think that's all.
Thank you again. We appreciate the information. Thank you for taking care of our people. I think you're doing a big service for us and for everybody out there. So,
thank you.
Thank you guys for joining us, and
we'll see you about next week.
See you then.
Hey, thank you so much for watching the podcast today. If this has been valuable for you at all, we sure could use your help getting the word out to more people. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, go ahead and give us a follow and consider taking just maybe 2 minutes to leave us a review. Both do wonders for our show with the algorithm, and on both platforms, all you gotta do, head over to our show page. On Spotify, hit 3 dots and select rate. And on Apple, all you gotta do is just scroll down to the show and say leave a review. So just click that. If you're seeing this on Facebook or Instagram, a like or comment puts all the good vibes out in the algorithm for us. And on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can be notified whenever we post a new episode. Join us again next week for more Fort Worth housing news and updates. Until then, y'all have a great week.